this fucking thing. Jesus Christ.
Nice job.
In
this new world, we have to be technologically savvy just to do a damn podcast.
Well, my card had fraud like 2 weeks ago, so I had to get a new card. So everything that's pre-done, I had to cancel everything, and it's just a pain in the ass.
I get you. Did you find who was trying to steal your shit?
Yeah, I don't know, some fucking idiot in Oregon or something trying to buy shit from Adidas or something.
In Oregon, of course, of all places. They should have their own country. They should break off and become their own country. This is crazy. So, Shaun, what's new, man? What's going on? Tell us a couple stories. I want to start off by saying the first time I met you, it was one of the most memorable people I'll never forget, because you were like 76 pounds, and it was 10 years ago at the Europa in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh shit, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I'll never forget, because you came up to me all bright-eyed and like, hey man, you introduced yourself, and I had already seen you in some of the natural publications and stuff, and I knew of you, but I had never met you, and I'm like, holy fuck, this kid is adorable. Like you were tiny, and you looked like you were 14, but you were like so confident, and you were like, man, I'm gonna be a pro. I'm gonna be a pro soon. Then I'm like, shit. I'm like, I'm not one to say you ain't, Yeah. And then I seen you compete as a bantam, and I don't know what you were like 136 on stage, your first bantam at nationals.
My first national was 133.
Yeah. And you placed top 3, didn't you?
No, team universe, I was 130 actually. I won that one, and then I went to the nationals and I got absolutely killed. I was like last call out.
Right. And then what year did you end up winning nationals?
The next year.
The very next year.
2012, yeah.
And what was your weight when you won?
143 and a quarter, right on the dot.
Oh, you were right at it.
Yeah, I barely made it, man. I had to like suffer to make that weight.
So you put on 10 pounds in a year.
Yep.
Perfect. When you're that light and it's pretty, it's easier than it sounds when you're as small as we used to compete.
Yeah.
I used to do it in consecutive years. I would go 154, 165, 176.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at that stage, the idea is just to come in as peeled as possible.
Yeah.
And when you're that peeled, you can put on 10 pounds and still be peeled.
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest thing about weight classes is that, I used to be pretty confident if I made it into the weight class that I could win.
You won like a bunch of them, lightweight, welters, middles. You won like 4 nationals ever. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. 3 weight classes.
3.
So now, speaking of weight classes,
yep,
you have man, you have come a long way from when I met you back then to climbing and crawling your way up and eventually winning shows. Your first pro win, was that in Dallas?
No, that was actually my second. My first one was in 2015 at the Vancouver Pro.
Okay, that's right. And by no stretch were you a giant. You were 155 pounds or so.
Yeah, right there, 154, exactly.
Yeah, and you've slowly climbed your way up to now last year's Olympia, you were 165.
On stage, 169.
169, and you're gonna you don't want to tell yet, but you're estimating somewhere 175, one maybe more.
About 175, 180 this year.
Yeah, holy shit. And what are you, 4'7"?
on a good day.
With heels on?
Seriously. I'm barely 5. I am 5'2", I guess you could say.
5 what?
5'2" on a good day.
All right. So that makes me about 1.5 inches taller than you.
Yeah.
But when you're a little guy, 1.5 inches is like 6 inches.
Seriously.
At least that's what I tell the ladies. But
same thing with the weight. You put on 5 pounds, it looks like 20 on a regular guy.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you obviously know my man here, Nate Tello. I can't see him in the screen for some reason, but he's here. He's the good looking one of the two of us. And he's good looking with brains and plays an instrument. And he's got a lot of great questions for you. It'll take him a half hour to get the question out. He does that to bamboozle you, so you don't really remember the question. You'll just talk. He's like the Kai Green of asking questions. So without further ado, Nate, come give my boy Shaun some good questions.
All right, Shaun. So just what Jose was alluding to in your contest history, obviously winning the Vancouver Pro was your first big placing on the scene, right? Previous years, 2014 Toronto Pro was 12th place, New York Pro 13th place. So huge jump up to be recognized there. 2016 New York Pro 3rd place. Obviously that still kept you on the map. 2017 New York Pro 2nd place. And fast forward all the way to last year's Olympia 3rd place, which really put you on the map of somebody in contention to win this thing.
Yeah.
It's besides your placings going up, your physique has just drastically changed year after year after year. It's probably, I think, the biggest changes of any pro year to year to year consistently. What do you attribute that to? Obviously, there's a lot of factors here, right? But if you could go back and tell yourself 2012, 2013, here's what I've figured out to make these changes, what are those things?
It's just consistency, to be honest with you. I've never really taken time off. A lot of guys, they take 2, 3, 4 weeks off after a show. We all know that's the best time to start making progress. So when I get home from a show like the Olympia, I'll maybe take 3 or 4 days off just to kind of rest up. But then I'm right back to the gym, getting in contact with my coaches, both Matt Jansen and John Meadows, putting together an off-season plan right away and just kind of just nailing it from there to the next show. That's pretty much how, I don't really change much. With training, things do change based on obviously photos and feedback from judges. So John and I will put together a game plan as far as what we need to prioritize. And then Matt obviously knows my body, inside and out. So we're just eating a ton of food. That's the one biggest change I would say from amateur to pro was I wasn't eating enough, especially as an earlier pro. I just wasn't eating enough food. When I brought Matt into the play around 2016, he just threw so much food on my plate, man. It took me a while to kind of get used to eating all that food. But year after year after year, we begin to progress and eat more and more into the show. Whereas this year, we've eaten the most I've ever eaten this year.
So what amount of food or calories are we talking about? Say that first jump, 2016 to now, how many meals a day, how many ounces of protein or calories, if you even count those?
Yeah, well, calories I don't really count. I think when I began doing it, I was eating like 4 meals a day, 4 ounces of protein, maybe a cup of rice. And then when Matt came in, it was literally 7 to 8 ounces of protein, pretty much double that, and then 300, 400 grams of rice. So that's, 2.5, 3 cups almost. Just a lot more carbs and a little protein, not too much.
And that's just expanded over time, more and more carbs, essentially. Proteins stayed high, 8 ounces or so, and carbs have just gone up and up.
Yep, exactly. We'll add fat every so often, peanut butter, whole eggs, avocado, things like that.
So you said Matt came in the picture 2016. When did John Meadows come in the picture?
John, I've been working with John since 2015. Okay.
Now, why did you choose both of those people, 2015, 2016? Obviously, there's a lot of great coaches out there, both nutritionist prep coaches and also trainers. A lot of people work with Matt Jansen, I guess, on both. So why did you pick both of those people to do those respective areas of training and nutrition?
Well, initially I was working with John only just for everything, my training, my nutrition, the whole 9 yards. And then what kind of just made me say I just want to focus on training with John is because the Vancouver Pro we did together and I won. And I just felt really bad. Because John's prepping me to beat him pretty much, and I felt like I didn't feel right. So I decided to you know what, I'm gonna just focus on the training only with John, and I'm gonna do my diet with someone else. And then Matt, obviously I've known Matt for a while. I followed him. I never really contacted him. I never really talked to him one-on-one before. I just knew who he was, and obviously seeing him working with Dallas over the years. I just kind of just reached out to him one day, just asked him a few questions, get his feedback on some things, and I got a good feeling with him, and that's when I decided to bring him on in 2016 for my nutrition.
So one more question, I'll hand you back to Jose. So you're in Jersey, right?
Yes.
So what have you done this whole year with COVID? Obviously, New York, New Jersey gyms were the first to go down,
Yep.
last to open. What did you do during that time? Were you able to find a home gym? Did a local gym kind of let you in while it was shut down so you'd have a place to train?
Yeah, I have a friend, my man Scott. He owns like a private like boxing studio, but also has a weight area to it. He gave me the key, and we literally trained there pretty much the whole entire time. So it was pretty much just myself, my girlfriend, and Jim, training whenever we wanted to. And it was pretty much brought back to the basics. And I've said this many times. It's not a fancy gym by any means. Very small, just dumbbells, barbells, squat rack, and that's all we had. So I was forced to kind of go back to the old school way of training, the barbell rows, the dumbbell rows, the flat press, the incline press. That's all I did the entirety of the COVID shutdown. But my body responded so well to it, man. It just soaked up everything. And that's what I attribute my new mass to, obviously having to go back to that old school way of training, obviously eating a ton of food. Also, one thing I did, I cut my training back this year in off season. I was only training 4 days a week, whereas in other years I would train 5 to 6 days a week. So having an extra day on top of that, my body just responded so well this year.
All right, Jose.
Well, so I can relate to the eating thing, Shaun. When I did my own prep for many years, for the first 18 years of my career,
yeah,
I never measured a thing. I never weighed an ounce of food or I just eyeballed it, and I always thought I was getting enough. Yep. And then it wasn't until I had someone helping me that they were like, all right, you need 10 ounces of fish, cooked, 10 ounces of chicken. And then by the time I would measure it and actually realize how much I was eating, I probably doubled my protein intake. Like, I couldn't believe how much food that was.
Seriously.
And that made a huge difference. That's what allowed me to go from 200, 202, all the way up as high as 210 on stage, And I mean, on someone our height, 10 pounds of muscle is like a new person.
Yeah.
So it was, that was the most drastic thing that I ever encountered, was actually measuring the food. Did you have a similar experience? Were you measuring your food prior to that?
I was the same. I was going to say the same thing, man. When I started competing, it was in 2005. I was still in college. So I was eating only cafeteria food. So I would eat 3 or 4 meals a day, everything from the cafeteria. And in my mind, I always felt like I had to be lean. So I would eat very little food. At most 4 meals a day, a lot of shakes, whole eggs, salads, tuna fish. So I wasn't eating a ton at all. And again, I didn't measure anything. I had no idea about measuring grams, ounces, nothing. And that was it. So I would go for dinner. I'd go to the front and say, hey, what do you guys have for dinner tonight? They said we have chicken. And if it was like baked chicken, I'd still have it, because in my mind, chicken's chicken. I had no idea.
Right.
Grab some tuna, grab some eggs, and that was it. And it wasn't until, obviously, I did my prep by myself all those years up until 2012. So,
well, I think that is also why you're great. It makes you a great person to coach, because you're able to give feedback so much better than the average person, because you understand your body already. You already know what you respond well to, what you don't respond to, and you can give them feedback right away. So, like Chris and I, it was more of a teamwork thing, where he didn't just write something out and that's what I did.
Yeah.
It was more of a discussion. All right, well, what do you think of this? All right, good. This is how I respond. I usually respond really well to that. Right out of the gate, I told him, I need a shitload of cardio. I'm a fat kid at heart, and I need cardio and very low carbs. It wasn't until he forced me to eat a little bit more, we'd go a little higher carb, but still doing the cardio.
Exactly. And it's the same thing with me and my coaches. But obviously, I trust my coaches 110%. But when it comes to training, if John has a certain exercise for me that I know just doesn't feel right or I'm not connecting with, I'll let him know, like, hey, I want to replace this with this and X, Y, and the reason why I'm doing that. And the same thing with Matt. When we get, obviously, again, he knows my body, what foods work for my body. So even though he may have a set plan in his mind, like for me, I don't do well with chicken. So it's mainly just turkey and fish, and for me, when I get close to the show. And again,
Yeah.
giving him that feedback, he understands and he kind of respects that. We don't do any chicken at all.
Right. Well, good.
Yeah.
So I want to turn the channel to the Olympia. So
Well, yeah.
last year, I mean, I don't think you would have gotten an argument from anyone if you won the show. That's how nasty you were, and that's how close the top three were.
I wouldn't have.
No, I don't think anyone would have. You were like a cartoon. It was you just nailed it. It was like years and years and years of everything came to a head that one day, where your condition, your fullness, your size, your everything. If you saw you alone on stage, you couldn't tell if you were 5'10", 260 or what you are right now. You know, you were arguably the best guy there. The top three were all awesome. You know, and Kamal is like the most polished bodybuilder in the world right now, you could argue. What changes have you made? And I know you got the confidence. Like, what is it that you're going to do to win? I mean, Kamal's a year older. Derek's a year bigger, which is going to make it harder for him to be a true 212. And you're just a year better. So what do you think? What do you think you've done? And what do they need to do to beat you?
You know, the one thing I have on my side is I don't have to worry about making a weight class, 212. Right. I made it in the off season. That's one stress off my back. And listening to judges' feedback, they keep saying, just get bigger. You got everything. The conditioning's there, the straight structure, presentation, it's all there. Just get bigger, get thicker. And that's what we've done this year. We've gotten much bigger. We're rounder, we're fuller, all around. But at the same time, I look at the conditioning of Kamal, which is, you know, bone dry. So I'm going to have the new size, which is going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 pounds bigger, but just as hard and conditioned. As Kamal, if not better. The reason why, because I actually started this prep pretty early. I started at 21 weeks out. Well, technically like 25 weeks out, and then they pulled the plug and said they're removing it. But we started at 21 weeks officially, and I'll be honest with you, we were leading out so fast that I had to have cheat meals twice a week because my body was just responding so quickly. So literally, I mean, like 13 weeks out, we were ready to go. And so much so, like the Chicago Pro, like 2 weeks ago, I could have done that show and done well, I believe. And obviously, I worked with Kai Green this prep as well, who's been seeing me on a regular basis, and he agreed that my body could have done a show 4 weeks ago if I wanted to. So again, we're just bigger, fuller, rounder, thicker, improved, and we'll definitely be in condition for sure.
So you say you worked with Kai Green. Mm-hmm. In what capacity? Is he helping you with posing or a mindset, a mentor? What capacity is he helping you?
I've always known Kai, I'd always talked to him, but more so recently this year, I'm seeing him on a regular basis. We actually posed about 2 hours 2 weeks ago at the gym, and anytime I see him, he'll just kind of just talk to me. I'll show him update photos, I'll get his feedback, and we'll kind of just work on mindset stuff and kind of presentation things, how I should hit certain shots, and just overall, just kind of just getting a better, clear mind on the presentation side of it.
Beautiful. Yeah, there's no one better to
exactly.
Rub off on you than that guy.
Oh yeah. I'm lucky.
That is, I mean, you've always had a good presentation. Maybe posing with a little more confidence, exactly. Coming in and out of the poses. Kai being a shorter guy and a gigantic guy could help you, remind you of the midsection, going in and out of poses, because you are, let's face it, at that point right now where you're at your height, you're a big dude where you're going to have to start thinking about things like that.
Absolutely.
You know, that happened to me. All of a sudden, Jose's this blocky kid who needs to worry about his midsection. And I always said, you know, I've said it 1,000 times, when you're 15 pounds of shit stuffed in a 10-pound bag, stuff is going to stop popping out, everywhere. You got to keep your mind on it. So yeah, he had to deal with the same thing. He's 5'8", 280. You know, there's something, even with brick abs, you got to hold them tight.
Honestly, that entire posing session was all based on the obliques, the core, the whole entire thing. Just showing me exercises, kind of hit that area, making sure everything was tight, crisp. So he kept just hammering my side tricep, my side chest, over and over and over until everything was just tight. But yeah, I totally agree. Again, we're short, man, so everything kind of just goes right to the midsection. But I'm very aware of that area. I do core work every single morning after cardio. So I'm not really too worried about it.
Good. Nate?
So, Shaun, leading up to the Olympia, do you pay attention to, this is what Kamal's looking like, right? Photos are leaking out of him at the Dragon's Lair. You've got Lunsford. I was with George last weekend at Bev's training. He's, very lean for this far out. Or do you just not even worry about any of those guys?
Honestly, I don't worry at all. I don't look at their photos. I don't look at obviously I see them on Instagram, but I don't sit there and study them at all. I don't watch their videos. I don't really care what they're doing or what they look like, to be honest with you. In my mind, me taking a moment out of my day to worry about what they're doing takes away from myself, and that can't happen. And that's why I personally don't put progress pictures up. You guys don't know what I look like right now. No one does, because I'm wearing a 3X t-shirt, or obviously I'm always covered up in a hoodie. People are probably saying, what's he look like? Or they probably think I'm not going to be ready, but nah, it's not going to happen.
I know exactly what you look like. I hacked into Jansen's iCloud, and I seen all your progress pictures.
Awesome.
Yep, you're looking good. I know. So the last picture I did see was the one of you training arms with Victor Martinez.
Oh, yeah.
And you looked ready to explode in those pictures.
That was 10 weeks out.
Yeah. So what, a month ago? You were crazy round and vascular, and you didn't look far off in those pictures.
No, I wasn't. No,
and
not at all.
You know what else is funny is your arms didn't look small next to Victor. And Victor's got ridiculous arms.
Yeah, he's a freak, bro. He's huge. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, he like I said, I just like only reason you guys saw the picture because obviously I was doing my video, but for the most part, man, I don't want to show any skin in the gym. I don't want the attention. I don't want the pre-show hype. It doesn't matter what I look like right now, because what matters is come show day. We've seen guys look great, 6-7 weeks out, and they get to the show and blow it. So
I hear you. So do you feel that hinders your marketing of yourself, trying to hide away? And do you even care? Some people, they think about the marketing. I gotta, get my face out there, get my name out there, create a buzz as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And some people more like yourself, I really don't care. My focus is winning the Olympia. I don't care how many likes I get. I don't care how many, unfortunately, in this world of social media now, your sponsors want you to get as much likes and attention as possible. But also, that might pull you away from your game. How do you balance that?
I told my sponsors out the gate, listen, this is who I am. I don't show myself. I kind of stay hidden. And again, a lot of guys like that hype going to the show, man. I like to just show up to the show and just fucking explode. So I told my team off the bat, listen, I'm not going to show anyone any progress pictures. I'm not going to post myself posing. I'm not going to do any of that. And they're all okay with that because they're just on board with me, supporting me. They don't care about the like. I don't care about the like, the follows. I get it. I've talked to certain people you got to show more skin and it's going to build more hype, get you more exposure. I never got into the sport for that.
Right.
I got into the sport before social media even existed. So it was never the reason why I started the sport. And it's not going to be the reason I started doing it now. I don't care about the social media. I got a great community supporters and everything. But I put up other content. I put my training footage up. I'll put my videos up. I have a YouTube is blowing up right now, which is doing very well. So I am providing content. You're just not knowing what I look like. So I'm building up anticipation for the show.
Shaun, what is your YouTube?
It's just Shaun Clarida. That's it.
It's not the OG Giant Killer.
Here we go. Nah.
Yeah. Let's straighten that out. It's just Shaun Clarida, huh?
Yeah.
All right, good. So you got to see the tide turn, man. How cool is that? Where, as a kid, the guys that you were looking up to, you finally got to turn pro. You finally got to do a show with them. Then you finally got to get compared to some of them. Then you beat every one of them, aside from flex, Now, how crazy is that at one time or another, you've gotten to look up to them, stand next to them, then beat them, and now possibly win that coveted #1 spot in the world. I mean, that's a dream come true for any young up and coming bodybuilder.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, to be honest with you, man. Like I remember my first New York Pro was in 2010, I believe it was, or 9, 10, when Kevin English won. I was sitting in the audience, and I was telling people I was with, like, listen, I'm gonna be up there one day competing, and this is when I was still an amateur.
Yeah.
And then obviously fast forward, I turned pro, and then I started watching all the Olympia, like you, David, Flex, all you. I was Aaron Clark, I believe, was in that top 5, top 6.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, I would watch it over and over and over and kind of imagine myself being there one day in that first call out with you guys. And obviously fast forward to today, I am that guy in that first call out. Consider myself one of the top guys. So it's definitely like a motivating, but at the same time, I got to stay on my game. And again, the goal is to win Olympia. That's it. That's always been the goal. And
of course.
That's the only thing I care about right now.
So I know that is the goal, but let's say fast forward, say you don't. Say you're top 2 this year. And I hate even bringing it up because negativity sucks, but it's more just forward thinking. Mm-hmm. What is your next option? What is your next plan? Do you plan to compete at all next year, or would you sit out again, focus just on the Olympia?
I would love to have done a show after Olympia, but obviously that's not going to happen. But honestly, I'm not going to do any show. If I'm second this year, if I don't win, I'm definitely going to wait till the next year's Olympia, and then obviously I'll do shows after that. I'd rather do shows after Olympia than prior, to be honest with you. Unless they bring the Arnold back, then that's definitely an option.
Right. Yeah, that would be a huge feather in your cap there.
I mean, I've done, New York Pro. I've won that. I've won Dallas. I've won Vancouver. I've won the Legion. Like I've won pretty much a lot of the bigger shows. So like I always said, like, if I win a show, I'm not gonna do it again, to be honest with you. I want to kind of keep winning different shows, if not bigger shows. So the Arnold and the Olympia obviously are the two that I'm shooting for.
Yeah. What if The Rock has a 212 at that Athleticon next year, if that's a possibility?
Absolutely. I'd be a fool to say no to that.
Right.
Especially if it's an invite only and it's The Rock's promotion. I know it's going to draw a big turnout, a lot of publicity. You'll be a fool to put that down.
You're a smart man. So you say you're planning to be around 175 pounds. Mm-hmm. Where does that put you right now at 6 weeks out? Are you 190, still 185, 200 pounds? What are you?
As of this morning, we're at 187.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Well, this time last year, we go back and forth, my coach and I, Matt. We compare pictures and weight. So this time last year, I was 178. So this year, we're 187 this year. So we're definitely on track to be much bigger this year on stage. But again, we don't care about that. I'm not a guy who cares about the weight, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, it just tells me that just means we're bringing a whole new look to the stage.
Right. Well, it's a tool. It's a tool for progress. If you look at both of those photos and you're 9 pounds heavier in one of them and harder, then that tells you you've put on some tissue and you're heading in the right direction. It's not the end all be all, but it is a valuable tool for you to judge. Bodybuilding is a visual sport. So when we look at photos, I mean, that's really ultimately all that matters. But when you look at photos and I'm harder here, but I'm also 9 pounds heavier, well, that's giving me valuable information.
Yep, exactly. I'm definitely much harder. Like I said, we're eating a ton of food still, whereas last year I was eating very little, doing a ton of cardio just to get in shape. But we got in shape pretty early this year, and we kind of just been cruising right now. We really haven't pulled the trigger yet to start really getting dialed in. But again, I'll leave it in my coach's hand. He knows what he's doing.
And how much cardio are you doing typically?
Right now, just 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
Is it fasted or after you train or later in the day?
Always fasted.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I believe in that too. A lot of people argue about that. I believe that's the best way to get your day going.
Yeah, I've always done fasted. Only time I'll do it PM is if for some reason I can't get to it in the morning, or if he has additional session, obviously after training.
Okay, Nate.
So I want to ask you about, obviously you have a really strong belief in yourself, which is key for how far you've gone. Going back to when you did nationals and when you won, what was going through your head at that point in terms of, Jose can relate to this, right? Because he turned down his pro card. Was it 3 times, Jose, and you accepted it on the 4th?
Yeah, exactly.
So turned it down 3 times, accepted it on the 4th when they finally had the 212, 202 division.
Yeah.
Just as somebody that's last year competed as a light heavy and this year will probably move up to a heavy, I still feel small being around even the 212 pros, right? Let alone somebody that might be a really good middleweight. It seems like you're 100 pounds off from the marker where you need to be. So one, what was going through your head when you got that pro card? Were you like, I'm never going to win another show again because I'm so small? And then also, were there people that kind of gave you the blueprint of, if they can do it, I can do it? Like, you're that guy now for a whole new generation, right? So like Jose and I are friends with Justin Randall, who's a Boston-based guy, right? Clearly look at you and say, all right, I'm about his height. If Shaun can do this, I can do this, So where there might not have been that blueprint before, maybe Jose was one of the shorter guys. And you start saying, well, if I'm shorter than Jose, I don't know if I have a chance.
It was crazy when I turned pro. You would think everyone's happy for you, congratulating you. I literally had people coming up to me and said, well, congratulations, your career is over. And I was like, what does that mean? They're like, well, you're a bantamweight. There's never been a bantamweight who's done well at the next level. You're too small. You should just give up now. But in the back of my mind, I was like, if I made it this far, who's to say if I don't continue the same path that I can't improve, get better, and win pro shows and get to Olympia? So obviously those naysayers, I didn't really pay too much attention to them. There was only a handful of people that were in the league that told me I would do well. It was Jose was one of them, Guy Cicinino, Dave Palumbo, and Factory. I remember like clearly as day. Those are the guys that I remember that told me right away, like, you'll be a good pro. Just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll definitely make it. So, and obviously, there's always gonna be naysayers. They're just butthurt for whatever reason. But I always believed myself. I knew that, again, if I got to this point where I can turn pro, then I can definitely get to the point where I'm in the first call out, winning pro shows, getting to Olympia, and then one day, God willing, winning the Olympia.
Now, did you have this outside of bodybuilding? Like, I know you played different sports. You wrestled, you played basketball. Were you like that in these other sports, or did this just click within bodybuilding?
No, I've always been a big believer myself. I think the wrestling mentality I've had is what carried on to the bodybuilding side. Because if you can wrestle, you can do anything, to be honest with you. It's one of the hardest sports ever. And we're crazy as wrestlers. We'll do anything to win. And I think that mentality, again, carried over into the bodybuilding side, whereas I'll do whatever it takes to win. You want me doing 3 hours of cardio? Fuck it, I'll do it. And that's just kind of how it's always been for me.
Now, you're 38 currently?
Yes, sir. Yep.
So you're older than I expect. I looked this up earlier, and for some reason, I was thinking you might be like 31, 32.
I wish.
Well, you still look like you're like 18 at this point. So how's the body holding up with, you've been competing for a really long time.
Yeah.
You're clearly unbelievably strong, pound for pound, but just compared to anybody in any gym. How's your body holding up this many years of lifting the heavy weight you've been lifting?
Honestly, it's better than ever. 2017 is when I really started focusing on my body, meaning obviously I get the rest done. I take extra days off from the gym when I need to. But I get Graston, deep tissue, ART, everything twice a week. And that's what's literally kept me going, injury-free, continuing to train heavy all the way through the show. Having a great team of, therapists taking care of me every single week. I feel great. There's nothing bothering me. When I talk to John, he always says, hey, how's your elbow? How's your joints feeling? Everything feels amazing, to be honest with you. I feel
that therapy.
Good. Go ahead.
Do you find that therapy, obviously there's the recovery side and there's the injury prevention, right? Loosening things up before they get tight snap. Do you find it has any sort of visible effect on your body? Like, do you obviously this stuff isn't really proven, right? It's sort of bro science territory, but do you find that it's allowed you to put on more muscle, or increase blood flow and change the shape of you? Anything like that?
Well, not only does it help with that, but it also helps the conditioning factor, as you especially get close to the show. Whereas you're getting things scraped and opened up, you're removing adhesions, you're allowing more conditioning and vascularity come through. But the perfect thing you said was there, like more blood flow. Because the way that it's been taught to me is if I'm continuously training every single week and just hitting the muscle, right, and it's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter, eventually I'm not going to be able to get blood flow into that muscle, and that means it's not going to grow anymore. By getting the grafting, the stretching, everything I do on a weekly basis, it allows the muscle to kind of open up. And by doing that, I'm getting more blood in, which means I'm obviously building more muscle and more tissue. So it absolutely is key. I mean, I wish I started this early in my career, but thank God I haven't had any real injuries. And it's definitely be able to, again, train just as heavy and just kind of not have to worry about things aching like usually, you know?
It's interesting. Like, you just don't hear that stuff being talked about as much. There's guys like Cutler, obviously, was a huge proponent of it. But I feel like when you have these old school, the Flex magazines, that's like, here's somebody's diet and here's somebody's training.
Yeah.
That recovery side or that therapy side is always left out. And whether or not there's a large percentage of guys that don't bother with it, or it's just not talked about, it seems to be like it's a really important part. Guys that do it realize it's very preventative, but it actually can also be visibly beneficial for your body in ways that could be equal to a new training system, things like that.
It's just as important as training and my nutrition, to be honest with you. I couldn't do that without this, to be honest with you. And I talk about it a lot now. Again, like you said earlier, there's a new generation of younger guys looking up to myself. And I put it out on my Instagram. I have my YouTube video showing all the work I get done, not showing different sides. Yeah, see, the training and stuff like that is great. And the diet, people want to see that. I understand. But there's another side that you need to consider if longevity is key to you or is important to you.
Right. I mean, now you're seeing a lot of the old school guys. It's almost standard practice to go up to a guy in a gym, maybe a retired bodybuilder. Their shoulders are junk, their knees are junk, their hips are junk, right? It's like, it goes without saying. It's never a surprise, right? You almost sort of think it goes with the territory, right? Like,
yeah,
in this long enough. That's why I asked you that initial question is, you've been pushing for a really long time, and the average bodybuilder has just come to terms with, well, this just goes with the territory. You're going to wreck your joints, wreck your muscles, but there is another way, which you've found.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, this is probably one of the main things that's really allowed my body to progress over the years as far as getting better, continue to grow. And again, one thing, just kind of stay healthy in the gym and safe. Had I not done any of this, I mean, I'd probably be in the same position as a lot of guys getting surgeries done or things breaking, tearing, ripping, because eventually your body's not supposed to do what we do. And a guy from my age, especially, we're getting older, things start to crack and ache and all that stuff. Like I said, I feel just as good now as I did in my 20s, to be honest with you. Nothing bothers my knees, feel good, healthy, not on wood, obviously. Elbows are great. Obviously I take all my daily supplements like the omegas and things like that for that additional health. But again, I would not be able to train and do what I do competitively if I didn't have a great team of therapists making sure I was 100% a week.
Jose?
I think it's crazy how Jay Cutler doesn't have 1 ounce of ache or pain, nothing. From after all the time that he trained and was so heavy, just carrying his own body weight around. That guy's got no pain. And, sometimes it's genetic, because I was very diligent with, therapy and recovery. I did deep tissue twice a week throughout the majority of my career. I knew how to train, and, I trained very safe, and my hips wore out. There was nothing I could have changed to make it any better. That was more of a genetic thing.
Yeah.
And I actually feel better today than I did while I was, competing the last few years. I have less pain and discomfort, and my training's actually getting better every day. The only component I'm missing is the massage, is the therapy, and if I have ever planned to come back, that would be 100% necessary tool to be able to do that. When you were describing the the blood flow and how the deep tissue and whatnot helps with that. It's very similar to Hani's FST7 there, the fascial stretching. That's what FST stands for, the fascial stretching technique. Is that he's blowing the muscle up full as much as they can, where he does 7 sets of 10, like rapid fire. You might rest 15 seconds and do it. That way you're pumping so much blood in the muscle that it's forcing it to actually grow and stretch to allow more blood flow and more blood flow and more. And he implements an extreme stretching technique as well, where you might hold the stretch for 30 seconds or a minute to the point of pain. You're opening up, stretching to help stretch the fascia, which again, like Nate said, it's all bro science, but it's only bro science until it actually works.
Yeah.
And I, you can't deny the results for a lot of Hani's athletes. From Jay to Phil to Hadi Chupan. I mean, that guy is bananas.
Yeah, tell me about it.
So you actually competed against Hadi as well, right?
We all did in Korea.
Yeah. Which year was that?
2018. 18, I think it was. 18. Well, I don't remember, man. What was that? 18.
Were you there twice or once?
Once.
Okay. So 17 was the first time with Flex.
Yeah, I was there in 18 then.
Okay, all right. Yeah, he was pretty ridiculous in 18.
Scary, bro. I think you placed what, third or fourth?
Third. You were fourth.
I was fourth.
Yeah. That was a debatable one. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Wait, I don't know if I was fourth. No, I was fifth. Because there's another guy there.
You're right. I was fourth.
No,
was fourth. It was Hadi, David, and then another guy from Iran.
Yes.
Who was, I don't want to be disrespectful, but he wasn't that good.
At all.
I don't know where that came from. Anyway, he was third. I was fourth. You were fifth.
Yeah.
I think we should have flip-flopped and had him in fifth. But
you should have been third for that one.
Yeah. But man, how impressive was Hadi?
Dude, people don't understand. Unless you're there right next to him.
Yeah.
Like he looks like you see him not pose. He's like, oh, he's all right, but then he just poses and shit
he explodes. Yeah.
Oh God.
So I went and covered the Vancouver Pro last year.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I wasn't on stage with him.
Okay.
And I got to sit up close and be like, oh my God. Like, he made Nathan look like a middleweight. He made, Ian. These are great bodybuilders, Nathan and Ian. He made them look insignificant, And I'm like, so leading into the Olympia, I'm like, I don't care. I don't care who competes. Hadi could win. Not only will he beat, because they're like, will he make the first call out? I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, he's going to win. He's going to be fighting for the win. And sure enough, he ended up being what? What did he win? He won some award. It wasn't the people. Was it the People's Champion? Yeah. Because he is just so ridiculously impressive. And I kept saying that same thing, Shaun. Nobody understands it until you see him in person.
Yeah.
Pictures, video, nothing does him justice until you see it in person.
And he can eat his ass off too. I remember we were in Korea. This dude had full entrees, like octopus and all.
Oh yeah. Well, he had a whole entire entourage feeding him, making sure that he ate it all. So I was cheating, eating, drinking beers and trying to eat anything in sight. He had a very specific cheat meal with big old brontosaurus burgers and chicken thighs and it was like, that ain't a cheat meal. That's just food.
And what I would say, he's one of the most nicest guys, man.
Yeah, he is.
Anytime he sees me, he gives me a big hug and we'll just sit and talk. One of the awesome dudes, man. Love that guy.
Yeah, he's like a little kid. He has like a childish enthusiasm, you know. I love it because imagine being almost like hidden away for so many years, and he was like a hidden gem that really wasn't allowed to be out in the world yet.
Yeah.
You know, and then finally he got his opportunity, and he got to meet all these guys that he'd been watching for years, and you know, remember we were taking like a photo in Korea, how excited he was to get in the picture. And
it was you, me, and him doing that three. I took the selfie photo of us.
Yeah, he was so excited. But yeah, I love Hadi, and I pray that he gets the visa and he's allowed to get into the country.
Yeah, man.
Because the Olympia won't be the same without him. That's for sure.
If he's in, man, it's gonna be a battle for sure. Oh my God.
Well, he's certainly one that makes everyone step up their game because you can't come in remotely off if you're going to stand next to him.
And the guy is only about 225 pounds, if that.
Oh, I would say less. I'd say 219, something like that, you know?
Well, because he made last year, like the week of the show, whether he was going to go 212 or open.
Yeah.
Right? So now you have to assume they're sticking him in open. You know, like it's not even a doubt. So how much better is he that there's not even a thought of having to make a weight class?
Well, Hani already said that his goal is to get bigger this year. They're going to put some size on him. So if he keeps that same freaky conditioning, man, fuck, he's going to hurt some feelings.
It's scary. Well, he has the width to carry it. You know, he's got the wide shoulders. Nobody has better legs than him. I don't care who. Nobody. And all he needed to do was bring up some mid back. You know, fix his rear double so there's more popping in the lower mid back area.
Yeah.
Other than that, his rear lat spread's incredible. His front lat spread's incredible. His front double's incredible. Every shot is ridiculous. I mean, his quarter turns are like a most muscular. When he turns to the side and the serratus and obliques, like there's so much to look at.
It's nasty.
It's awesome. I'm so glad that we've had the opportunity to see him and meet him and compete with him. And that dude's a legend. He's a legend amongst legends. So what else you got for him, Nate? We got anything else?
No, not really. I guess maybe leave it with, you know, Shaun, you've done some traveling. Obviously, you just had some stories of being with Jose. And any story you can think of that might embarrass Jose or any of these travels that you might want to throw up before we go?
I don't know if Jose remembers, but I got food poisoning in Kuwait.
I was going to bring that up.
Dude,
my advice would be to get that every show because you were peeled out of your mind.
Dude, I felt like complete crap. Like we went to the sneaker store before, right? And then I was like, oh, I gotta go. I have to eat a meal. And when I got to my room, I started feeling really weird. Like, and the meal didn't go down. I'm like, I don't know. And then all night, dude, I was just hard. I was sick as a dog. And this is the night before prejudging. And I had to send pictures to my coach. I go to Jose's room, like, Jose, take pictures of me real quick. and I just felt like shit all day. Like, my coach called, he's like, pull out of the show. You can't do it. I was like, no, I came this far. I'm not going to do it. So I kept calling around or WhatsApping, like, Rami and anyone who was there. Like, I need Pepto. And they're like, what the hell is Pepto? I was like, oh. So I'm like, what am I going to do? And I don't know how I made it to the show. I think I had a muffin all day. And Rami looks at me. Jose looks at me like, you look fine. You look good. I'm like, I feel like shit. And somehow I got up there and I made it through and obviously placed third behind Jose and Ashkenani. And then everybody went out to eat after. And I went back to the room and just died after the show. I was just ready to get back home. And I think I had another full day there. And I just, luckily some kid, I don't know his name, I guess he got wind that I was sick. He called me. He brought me a bunch of crazy medicine. I was like, I don't know what this stuff is, but I'm going to take it. And he took me food shopping and got some bread and stuff to kind of sit in my stomach. And it helped. It held me over. And I got on a flight. I was like, please, God, don't let me have to go on this flight because that's embarrassing. And I luckily made it home with one piece. And it was such a hard. But then I get home, right? And then I do a show a week later. I did the Phoenix Pro where I took second to King Q. Because I was so dehydrated. I was like, I'm in shape. I might as well fucking do the show too. So
yeah, you were peeled out of your mind. Honestly, that day was probably the best condition I'd ever seen you in.
Well,
And,
I lost.
you've
I
been
lost
bigger.
10 pounds overnight.
So what was your actual weight? Low 150s?
Yeah, man, I lost 10 pounds.
Yeah,
I
but
was
you didn't look it.
60. I was like 160 or something like that. I'm like, oh, well, it was a shit show. Well, literally a shit show.
Yeah. Yeah, you were nasty though. That was
yeah.
You're very lucky that you were able to hold that. Yeah, I think that's the benefit of having real muscle, dense muscle from years and years of training. You know, a lot of the guys that are just kind of blown up and look puffy, if they were to lose that, they would have turned into a string bean.
Well, that's one thing about me. I know I like guys have to keep the water high going to the show, right? Whereas I pull my water out completely because I look my best that way, and I'm still full. Act jokes all the time, like, dude, I can give you one French fry, you're gonna blow up.
Yes.
I don't need a lot of food to blow up.
Yeah, that's from real training, real dense, heavy training.
Yep.
That ain't fake muscle. Yeah, so unfortunately, Nate, there was nothing that's gonna embarrass me. But we had a blast over there. We went to that Nike store, did some shopping.
Mm-hmm.
How beautiful was Kuwait, man?
I was trying to go back down there just to train, kind of hang out, and I kept hitting up Abdullah, and I was like, hey, I want to come out and train for a little bit, bring Matt, and maybe we can all train. But it was awesome. I tell people all the time, man, that gym was hands down the best gym I've ever. Oh my God.
Yeah, you can't explain that to people because it wouldn't be feasible in the United States. It wouldn't make sense. You would need a sheik to own it.
I mean, but besides the locker rooms and the levels of floors, like, hey, what are you training? Like arms, okay, third floor. It's like, what? And then you got the food downstairs. Everything's waiting for you, made right there, fresh. I mean, jeez.
In that pool area where we did that photo shoot and stuff.
Yeah. Well, you guys did the photo shoot. I couldn't do it.
Oh, you were sick.
I was sick. They called me to do it. Like, I can't do it.
Oh, that's right.
I couldn't make it.
There was a hot pool, a cold pool, a medium pool, a jacuzzi, 3 massage rooms.
That's why I want to go back. I feel like I didn't get all my time.
Yeah. All right, if you go, I'll go with you.
Hey, let's go. I'm trying to get Abdullah, like, hey, I want to come train a little bit. What's up? And yeah, it's not happening.
All right, before we go, do you have any predictions? Any who do you think the first call out's going to be? How about that?
An open?
Yeah, no, in the 212. Who would you like it to be? This is a more respectful way of saying it. Who would you like to see yourself compared with? This is a good question. That way we're not putting you on the spot of who's going to win. Who would you like the first call out to be? Top 5, best in the world. Who would you want to stand with?
I mean, I've thought about it. I think the top 5, based on what I've seen, it's gonna be myself, Lunsford, Kamal, George, and Angel Calderon.
All right, Angel's the new one. So you don't have much faith that John Jewett's going to be back this year. Ooh, put you on the spot.
John's good.
Is Angel better than John Jewett? I haven't heard much about John Jewett.
Yeah, he's kind of he's still training and ready, but like Angel, man, he's just like I had him up there last year. When I look back at the videos, like, who's this guy? Where the hell was he at?
Yeah.
And he's coming in now on two wins back to back. He just won Spain and he won the British Pro. The kid is thick and he's in shape. You can't.
He's short too, right?
Yeah, you can't deny him, man. I believe he's definitely be in that first call out for sure.
How tall is he? He's around my height.
Yeah, I would say like you're right.
5 or 6 inches taller than you.
Yes, yeah. Everyone's taller than me, I feel like.
So what about Ashkenani? Is he coming back?
I just totally forgot about him, didn't I? Wow.
Is he competing? I don't know.
He's on the list, right? I think.
He is. Well, he was top 5 last year?
He was 4th last. No, he was 5th last year behind John. Okay. Yeah.
So that's an automatic requalification. So
yeah.
I'm assuming he would be there.
I assume he is, but just kind of again based on what I've seen, I mean, his past showings haven't been the best. Like I said, I think the dark horse is definitely gonna be Angel Calderon, and if John's in shape, like he is really, he can be in that first call as well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's no way in hell that George isn't in the first call out.
No.
So that leaves someone ass out, which could be John or Ashkenani. You know, if Ashkenani hasn't made some serious changes to improve his conditioning, his legs and whatnot, you know, he's going to get left behind because everyone's stepping up their condition between Kamal, yourself, George. You know that those three guys are going to be bananas. If Derek is even 90%, he's going to be lights out, you know. So yeah, this is exciting. And I too am a big fan of that Angel Calderon.
Yeah.
Because he's just like
different
level of striations. It's almost like he has pec implants. They're so gigantic. It's like he has an indented sternum.
Yeah.
It makes his pecs come out even more.
Yeah, I seen that. I didn't know what was going on there. Right.
Yeah, his chest is just massive, and his quads are crazy striated. He's got the glutes. He's got the width.
Crazy part is he didn't even need to do these shows. He was already qualified for Olympia based off a win last year, but he decided to just do the 2 shows regardless.
I agree with him. I think it was a smart decision because look, we're talking about him.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You know,
you're right.
And it's not like he could do anything to improve to beat Kamal or to, you know, I don't think he's in the hunt to win, but he's definitely bringing, if he brings what he just brought, you're right. He's definitely a guy who could end up in that 5 spot, you know?
5, 6, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So why not? Why not do it and shine a little light on his name and his face and that physique? I think that was a brilliant idea for him because the guy brings it every time.
Yep.
Like you said, last year he ended up like 9th or something, right?
Something crazy, man. I mean, something like 10th, 11th, something crazy.
Yeah, he deserved, you know, and maybe that's what he needed was a little reminder. So he's going to get a look this time. So, hey, man, we'll be in touch, and thank you so much for coming on. And I wish the best for you, and you don't need any luck because you have brought it year in and year out, and constantly just got better and better and better. And I have no doubt that, especially you're in the sweet spot now, that 38, 39, that's where all your gains come to life.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be that people thought that was old, man. That's just you're just hitting your stride now.
Man muscle.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it. I'm super excited for you. I know that you're not going to be showing anyone. I won't share the update photos I got. So I'll keep them to myself. I'll show them to Nate. That's about it.
You got it. Yeah, you guys. I said I'm keeping it under building a little suspense for the show.
Well, that's good. That's exciting. It'll give us all something to look forward to.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Good luck with the rest of your training, brother.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I'll definitely talk to you guys soon.
All right, buddy.
Thanks,
all right, guys. Take it easy.
Peace.